Well, with me, a man who's been at the centre of politics here in the last few years is George Papa-Constantinu, who was finance minister under the old socialist PASOK government, the man that I think it would be fair to say you became the poster boy for austerity measures, which has cost you your seat, probably. I suppose the biggest danger tomorrow is that there is no clear-cut decision and instability and uncertainty continues.
But clearly there's a lot at stake tomorrow. It's a cliffhanger. We're going to get a fragmented result. No one party will have an absolute majority. And that's good, because actually what the country needs is coalition politics. What we need is a coalition government of pro-Europe, pro-reform forces that can push ahead with the necessary changes that this country needs, while at the same time trying to renegotiate parts of the agreement to make it easier on the Greek people who are suffering through a lot.
You had a tough time because basically you were the finance minister who negotiated the first bailout deal and the austerity conditions that went with it. The Greek people didn't like those austerity measures. Are they any more ready now to embrace them? Because that's the reality facing them.
We're in the fifth year of a recession, and it's important to understand that the recession started before the bailout agreement. It's not the result of the bailout agreement. It's the other way around, actually. We had to get the bailout because the country was in a very dark place and in a very difficult situation in terms of its deficit and debt. We achieved a lot in these 2 years, an unprecedented reduction in the deficit, a lot of structural reforms, but a lot that remains to be done. We clawed back a lot of our lost competitiveness. What is clear is that whoever wins tomorrow will need to push ahead, but at the same time they will need more time to be able to continue the fiscal adjustment, because people, after 5 years being in a recession, with incomes having dropped dramatically, with public sector salaries down 40%, with taxes up, are finding it very hard to get by. And that's, if you don't continue to have society with you, then you feed the extremes.
Whatever you believe you achieved before, clearly Europe wasn't entirely happy that you'd put in the reforms, the structural changes, introduced the sort of spending cuts needed to be able to start paying off the debt. Do you think there is more of an appetite there? I mean, the new government, whoever it is going to have to get on with those reforms or face the consequences.
Well, I think Europe has also learned in these 2 years, because Europe was late to react. Europe was late to create a mechanism, first for Greece and then for the other countries. And Europe realized that this was not just a Greek problem. This is a systemic European problem, because you cannot blame Greece for what's happening today in Portugal or Spain or Italy. So Europe needs, in the next few weeks, urgently, to also move forward with unifying its banking system, arriving to some kind of mutualization of debt, and of course with strong fiscal rules to make sure that everybody follows the same pattern.
Does the European Union have to find a new tone in which to talk to Greece, a tone in which you feel here that you've got room to start growing the economy as well as facing up to the austerity?
I think so, because the key to any further move is growth, and to get the economy starting again, it is clear that the austerity by itself is not enough. It is a precondition, if you will, but it needs to be accompanied with other things, a growth package and a little bit more time to be able, because at the moment the more you cut, the deeper the recession gets, the less your revenues are, and it's a vicious circle. So we need to get out of that vicious circle, and in that sense, a different tone from Europe, and it seems that they're ready to listen more.
What about your party, PASOK? You've been partners in government for many, many years, but the austerity measures which you were forced to introduce have done untold damage. You probably went from a 40% share of the vote to possibly as low as 10% tomorrow. You and many other MPs lost their seats. Are you going to have a role? Will you want to take part in a future government? Will you support whoever the biggest party is?
Well, we came to power in 2009 to find a burning house. We were the firefighters. Unfortunately, the firefighters got blamed and burned. Indeed. We suffered a terrible defeat, going from 44% to 13%. It doesn't look that we're going to get much better in this election, but we are an indispensable force in the sense that any coalition will have to include PASOK in it for it to be viable.
Not a spent force.
No, not a spent force at all, because the centre-left can never be a spent force. It reflects particular ideas and values in society. So that does not mean that we will be there with ministers or in whatever government is formed, but we will be there to ensure that the pain and sacrifice of the last 2 years has not been lost.
George Papa-Konstantinou, very good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best of luck.